One, three, five, seven. Let's talk about the queer competitive cheerleading drama Backspot. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking about Backspot, which is coming to theaters and on demand on May 31st, 2024. It's a queer competitive cheerleading sports drama that has a lot of really good sports action, some great montages, and as you'd imagine, a lot of drama. My hot take is I think you should maybe watch this later. I was kind of between a watch now and a watch later. I think I'm going to watch later, but I could be convinced otherwise. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a pretty good film. I'm a kind of a sucker for sports dramas, and this one has a lot to love in it. It has some really intense cheerleading action and plenty of like youthful fun and mistakes. Some of the drama feels a little bit manufactured, but overall, I really liked this. I could have gone either way. So, I'm going to officially do watch later, but this was definitely one I enjoyed. So, all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the ending slash recap section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises along the way, then I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So, Backspot follows three friends, but mainly Riley. They're all on the cheerleading team, and three of them, Riley, Rachel, and Amanda, get a chance to try out for the like premier competitive cheerleading team, the Thunderhawks. Do they make the team, and does this have any effect on their relationship? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I liked the action. Look, as the movie makes clear, cheerleading is a competitive sport. It takes a lot of conditioning, it takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of strength to do the things that these people are doing. And the film definitely has plenty of really good scenes of cheerleading action, cheerleading prep, things like that. I enjoyed them a lot. I like sports movies, I like sports dramas, and this has some really great sequences of these cheerleaders preparing, doing the tricks, showing the like pitfalls of what happens. It has a really kind of like good overall feel, and they're kind of spaced out throughout, so you get them kind of like at a nice interval. Second thing I love the banter. A lot of what is really charming about this movie is kind of the relationship between the friends. Like they're all kids, they're all in high school, and so they do kids things. They sing in the car, they go to movies, they play video games, they like joke. They don't think about consequences when they do stuff, and it's fun to see. They do a really good job of capturing this kind of like youthful exuberance, this youthful, fun and mistakes that can happen. And I really enjoy it. It is a nice breakup from like the very serious cheerleading parts to seeing these kids being kids. The third thing I love the montages. It kind of goes part and parcel with the action, but there is a really, really good montage in the middle where they're getting ready for a competition where you've got everything you would want in a sports movie montage. You've got preparation, you've got pain, you've got injury, you've got sweat, you've got blood, everything that you would hope for, and some really great music over it. It is a wonderful scene. It's kind of the highlight of this movie for me, and I really loved it. And the last thing I loved about this film, I'll call it the anxiety scenes. One of the characters has some pretty intense anxiety, and the film does a really good job of kind of like highlighting this and showcasing how that would look. Like the camera sometimes blurs a little bit, the sound gets a little muted. It really focuses on what that character is doing to kind of like deal with their anxiety. I thought it was a nice stark contrast between a lot of the rest of the film. So, a lot of things I liked, a lot of things I really liked about this movie. Things I didn't love as much. The first, I'll call it the beef. There is a beef that happens partway through that I don't know, it didn't feel like it was earned. I didn't really understand why the beef happened and why it got so intense. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, and it felt manufactured, which leads me to the second thing I didn't love as much. There's a lot of drama in this movie. Some of it feels a little manufactured. Some of it feels like these this like one small minor event will happen that causes a ripple throughout the relationships. And again, it feels like they added these to give some more ups and downs in the movie, but I felt like I wish that there was a little bit more time establishing these beats, maybe focusing on them. I don't know. It felt like the drama just kind of like was there because you had to have it. Well, sometimes it felt like it came out of nowhere. Sometimes it felt like overreacting. Hey, maybe that's how kids are. Maybe I just don't understand. Maybe I don't understand how kids think these days. But it felt like some of these things went from like little things to like extreme very quickly. So Backspot is coming to theaters and on demand on May 31st, 2024. Like I said, I ultimately think it's a watch later, but I could be convinced either way. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fun, kind of refreshing sports drama. So If you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to go into the recap of this film. So if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I'm going to turn it off now because there'll be spoilers. So the movie mainly focuses on Riley. Riley is this kind of like very competitive cheerleader. She comes from like a nice home. Her parents seem well off, although there's something up with her parents' relationship. They don't really get into it much. It feels like her mother might have like self-confidence issues and anxiety issues, and her father seems very disconnected. Like you don't ever actually see her father in this film. He's always like watching TV, like a very loud TV. He'll be like exhausted from work, so he doesn't want to like interact. And so Riley mostly interacts with her mother, but her mother is very passive, is very kind of like not confident. And I think Riley is trying to be the opposite of that. Like she is trying to be this like ultra confident cheerleader. She's trying to like be the head of the cheerleading squad, the best that she can do. And some of this pressure that she puts on herself, you don't really get much of an external amount of pressure on her in this film, but the pressure that she puts on herself causes her to have anxiety. And so one of the things that she does is when she gets really nervous, she'll like pick at her eyebrows. And you can see like her eyebrows are only about 3/4 of the way, sometimes half, because she'll pick the other ones off when she gets nervous. Um, Riley's girlfriend is Amanda, who is this like wonderful bundle of life. She is a really kind of like nice compliment to Riley, and their interactions are really fun to see. Amanda has a lovely home, not a ton of money though, so some of the like internal struggles here are the difference between like Riley not having to have a job, having like plenty, and Amanda having to like work as well, and having her, I think, feel like she has to support her family. Like I think she works to help her mom pay for the house and kids and things like that. So they're very different. They come from very different places, but they're together and they're very sweet together. Then the third kind of like third wheel, as she calls herself sometimes, is this person, Rachel. She is just like a fun cheerleader who is part of like the other third good one in this group. So they are practicing, and early on, uh, they find out that the Thunderhawks, this like premier cheerleading organization, wants needs people. They've been getting a lot of injuries, and so they need people for this upcoming competition in 2 weeks. So turns out that they're going to have a tryout, and so at Riley's cheerleading squad, the head coach of the Thunderhawks, this person named Eileen, who is this like stone cold badass. Although she's actually not that stone cold, but she comes across as very stone cold. She has everyone audition, and Amanda nails it. Rachel nails it. Riley, it's a run and then I guess a two tumble with a backflip. Riley doesn't stick the landing, and she is very upset about herself because she always thinks that she wants to be the best. She's better than that, and so she decides to do it again. And this was probably not good advice because the coaches were saying like you get one shot. She's like, no, I can do it better. I'm doing it again, and so she does it. She sticks the landing. But does this kind of hot-headedness hurt her? Well, we find out a little bit later when they call Riley, Rachel, and Amanda to go talk to the coach, to go talk to Eileen. They go in Amanda first, Rachel first, and then Riley. And when Amanda and Rachel leave, they don't say anything. And so you don't know what happens. Then when Riley goes in, the coach is like, I was like, that was very, I don't know, hot-headed of you or presumptuous of you, something like that. And Riley's like, well, I'm a very, strong person. And she's like, that was strong of you to think that you could go again. The Thunderhawks are all about execution. And if you don't execute well, then people could get hurt. And so you think that Riley's going to get kicked off. But I was thinking more, I was like, why would Eileen call Riley here just to like berate her? Eventually, she finds out that Riley finds out she does get a spot. And as soon as she finds out she gets a spot, she starts saying like, Amanda's also great. You should get her too. I know that dues might be expensive, but she's really fantastic. And Eileen's like, yo, that's enough. This conversation's over. See you on Monday. Later on, we find out that all three of them got in. All three of them are Thunderhawks, which makes sense. I don't know why they would call someone over there and be like, hey, good job. You're not on the team. And so they have a night of celebration, which is part of this like fun, youthful mischievousness, exuberance that this film has. And then they go to practice the next day. They arrive early, which is good because they were supposed to arrive early. And they have a good first day of practice. And as they're leaving, they find out that Eileen is getting messages from her ex-wife. So Riley and Amanda are excited because their coach is gay. And that's something that Riley specifically is excited about. I feel like Riley is looking for a like person to mold after, maybe like a surrogate mother figure. And I think she sees that in Eileen. Eileen's strong, Eileen's accomplished, Eileen is gay just like her. And so I think she starts to kind of attach or hope to attach like a a closer relationship to Eileen. Eileen also seems to recognize something in Riley. She seems to give her some extra attention. Not anything nefarious. Like she just, I think, realizes maybe that Riley has the drive that she needs. Maybe Riley has something special, and so she is working with Riley to help her like get ready for this show. Maybe she also realizes that Riley is an important person. Riley is the backspot. Riley is the person behind the formation. So everything kind of like flows through her to get these formations to work and to get these cheerleaders up in the air. So you don't really know why, but it is very sweet when Eileen like starts to give her some extra attention. Now, at a future practice, Riley gets kicked in the face and she gets a bloody nose and she's like, "Oh my God." She's working with the other coach, Devin, and she's like, "Oh my God, he's gonna cut me. Like I'm gonna be messed up." And Devin's like, "She's not gonna cut you. She likes you," which again gives Riley some extra confidence, a little like boost in her step. Now, one of the things that you can see Eileen doing is I think that she is recognizing a little bit of herself in Riley. And so later, after some really good practices, Eileen is trying to push Rachel to get a little bit more flexible, to do like a full split. And so she's pushing her down. Rachel is clearly in pain. She doesn't like this. But Eileen calls Riley over to help, to take over. And so Eileen tells Riley like, to push harder. And so Rachel, her friend, is clearly in pain, but Riley wants to do what Eileen is telling her. And look, I mean, objectively, they're a team. Coach tells you to do something, you're probably going to do it as long as it's not like illegal or like horrible. And Rachel was in pain, but she was trying to get more flexible. And so it makes sense that she would be pushing her a little harder. Riley does this, but this, I think, starts some of the beef that, I don't know, doesn't really seem earned. Like Rachel doesn't seem to be mad at her. But after this, Rachel and Amanda are both much colder to Riley. And I wasn't sure if it was the fact that Riley was like being too serious or if it was this step where she pushed Rachel even though Rachel was in pain. I didn't get it. I mean, to me, it felt like something you would do in a practice. Like, look, this person's in pain. No one wants to become more, like, no one loves pushing your body to become more flexible, but you kind of have to do it if you want to be more flexible. So this is the kind of the start of this beef. On the drive back, Riley and Amanda, who are, super close, they're always joking and singing. They don't talk at all during this. Now, one of the things that was a little weird is during one of the practices, they only had a few more before the competition, and Eileen is talking about how they have to do better, they have to do much better. They all have a target on their back. All the people waiting in the wings could come in and take it from them, and everyone is replaceable. And during this talk, Riley has one of her panic attacks, one of her like anxiety attacks, and she like keels over and starts breathing. Amanda comes over to help her because Amanda knows what to do. But then Eileen comes over and like helps with a different tactic. Like she grabs her shoulder and says like focus on the shoulder, breathe in, breathe out. And this helps to calm Riley down, which I liked this scene because it showed that Eileen was a human and that she like, understood some of Riley's anxieties. But it's also weird that she was just talking about how everyone is replaceable, how you have to be perfect. And then Riley has a panic attack and she's like, it's okay. Like, I'll just fix you. I would think that would be a red flag. But like, hey, maybe you can't handle the pressure. Riley doesn't get cut. I thought she was going to get cut. I thought that was going to be like a big dramatic moment here. But Riley doesn't get cut. She overcomes a panic attack. They redo it again. Everything's fine. So they're getting ready for the competition. Riley is obsessed. She's working out like constantly. She's working on being better. She's getting like blood everywhere, like all these like all these blisters and things like that. And they're getting closer and closer. And also during this, Amanda and Riley are like becoming less close, which I did not. I mean, it was weird to me because this is what they both were interested in. They both wanted to be Thunderhawks. They both were super excited about it. They were all happy for each other. And then all of a sudden, as Riley's getting more and more focused on this, Amanda is pulling away. I don't know if it was because of the stretching with Rachel. I don't know if it was because she was jealous of Eileen for getting Riley's attention. I wish there was a little bit more explanation. That's why I said the beef felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. But I guess that happened. But as they are getting ready for the final competition, as they're getting closer to it, they're doing the one of the maneuvers and they drop I don't know, I think it's called the flyer, the person that they lift up, they drop. And so she gets hurt. It looks like she maybe dislocates her shoulder or something. And that causes Eileen to have to think quickly. So she says, Amanda, you're the flyer. And Amanda says, no, I'm not going to do that. And Eileen's like, what? Like Eileen is not used to people talking back to her. Amanda's like, no, that's not, like, I can't do that. And then so Amanda pivots and she says, okay, Rachel, you're first girl, which I assume means you're the flyer too. So Rachel says, okay. And Amanda then like goes and like quits the team. And Riley's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you work so hard? And she's like, I can't do that. I can't get injured. I can't like get knocked out for 2 weeks. If I get a concussion, I'm not gonna be able to work for 2 weeks, which understandable. Like that is a concern, but I don't know why she quit the team because she said no, and I presumably she would still be on the team. It's not like she would have like not been able to do anything. I don't know. It was a weird shift for Amanda because like she had been doing cheerleading for all this time. Like at the start of the movie, one of their friends got hurt. I mean, she was fine, but she got dropped. So it's Amanda clearly knows that there's injuries, and she's doing cheerleading anyways. So now all of a sudden she's like taking this big stance of like I cannot be injured and now I'm quitting the team. I thought it was weird. Like she said no, she wasn't gonna have to be the flyer. She presumably could still be a backup or some other part on the team. And she'd already worked this hard. She should just kind of see through the competition. But Amanda quits. Riley is upset, and Riley doesn't finish her sentence, but she's like, if you quit the team, and she doesn't finish the sentence, the implication is like, then you quit me also. And Amanda's like, oh, so that's how it is. And then Amanda quits. Now, after this intense practice, Riley has a ton of emotions. She goes to see Eileen, and asks if there's anything she can do. And Eileen's kind of shocked. She's like, like go home. But Riley seems really kind of like he needs someone. And Eileen has this interesting line. I liked it. I thought it was an interesting line. She's like, don't treat me like that. Don't treat me like I'm your mother. Like if I was Bill Belichick, you wouldn't treat me like that. Which fair point. But that is a professional football team. This is a like high school cheerleading team. I understand that Eileen wants to be treated as a serious coach. Completely get that. That is a really good line for that. But I feel like high school coaches often do take on like parent roles. Like a lot of high school athletes will kind of treat their coaches like a surrogate parent. They'll go to them for advice. They'll try to get, be molded by them. So I feel like Eileen could have said something a little different. Like, but she could have, I don't know, maybe she could have said like, I'm not your mother, I'm your father. Like I have to be tough on you. I have to do what's best for you. I'm not here to be your friend. That would have been an interesting thing to say. Anyways, Eileen tells Riley that, she has to be cold. She has to be essentially a brick shit house, is what she said. Like, the world is not fair. The world's not going to treat her right. So she has to be tough. And so Riley, I think, I don't know why she does this. It feels like she is just kind of like spinning out of control. Rather than go home and sleep and get ready for this big competition she's preparing for like essentially her entire life, she decides to use a fake ID and go to a gay bar and in the middle of the night, which felt very weird. It felt very odd. Didn't feel like it was part of her character. She does this because her coach, Devin, dances there. And one of the cheerleaders showed her a video of him. I mean, it's not like erotic. It's just it's fun to see your coach like dancing and like letting loose when he's so serious in practice. So she goes there, she gets a drink, she gets hit on, and as she's getting hit on, uh Devin shows up and is like, hello, remember me, middle-aged man who's responsible for your well-being? He tells the other person to go away, that she's underage. And I like this scene because the person's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, it's not your fault. It's her fault. And so he takes Riley and goes and like basically sobers her up and takes her home. And I liked Devin's character a lot. He was a really kind of fun in between like Eileen and a real person. He was a tough coach, but he also recognized when like you needed to be a little more human. And this was a great scene that showed that because he's talking to Riley and he's like, okay, so who's gonna be mad at you, your mother or your girlfriend? Like, let me know. I'm gonna call someone. And Riley like freaks out. She's like, no, you can't. You can't. And I think Devin realizes that like, even though he's trying to give her tough love, like that's not what she needs. And so he kind of takes pity on her. He takes her back to his place, lets her sober up, lets her, kind of like hang out with him for a little bit, and eventually calls her mom. But I don't think he like rats on her. He just like lets her know where she is and things like that. So I like the scene. I liked it a lot. It showed that like what Riley needed wasn't like super tough love. She needed like a coach to like be a little bit more compassionate to her at times, and this probably helped her overall. Devin also notices her anxiety tick, and so he does her eyebrows and like covers it all up, makes it look perfect. I think he recognizes some things about Riley and recognizes like how to help her overcome them, which I really loved. And this whole time I was like when is she sleeping? It must be like 3 a.m. Like, doesn't she have a competition to be in? But it would be a really boring movie, I guess, if she was just like straight edge and went home to sleep and then went to the competition. So they come back, they get ready for the competition. Riley goes to see Amanda. I don't think they've talked since then, but she's trying to make up. They kind of like she kind of helps Amanda in her job. She cleans up a little bit. She helps her out, and they're trying. I think she's trying to mend the relationship. I think she realizes that she'd been a little bit too extreme, and being with Devin, at least hanging out with Devin showed her that she can be a little bit less cruel. One of the things he did say is like Riley was talking to Devin and she's like, I need to be a brick shit house. That's what Eileen said. And Devin's like, ew, why would you want to do that? Like, who wants to be a shit house? Like, just be a person. You don't have to be a brick shit house. You can just be a person. I think that helped Riley to kind of like realize that she had been a little bit too extreme. So she tries to make it up with Amanda. She goes to visit her. And then we have the big competition day, which is a really fun scene. They're all glammed up. They're all ready to go in their full costumes. Riley is getting ready and she hears Rachel crying in the bathroom. I think Rachel might be nervous. And again, Riley being a human now, not a robot. I think maybe old Riley be like, come on, get your head in the game. She goes and just like sits in the stall next to her and like reaches her hand under the stall so that Rachel can hold her hand. So Riley's growing. She's trying to mend the relationships. Now we have the competition. They're all getting ready to go on, and Eileen's like, someone give the chance, someone go. And Riley steps up and she starts singing Come On Eileen, which is one of the like no-nos that you were not supposed to do. Devin specifically told them all, don't do this, don't sing Come On Eileen. Eileen hates it. Riley starts singing it. She sings like three verses, or like she sings like four lines of it, and then does the cheer. And it fires everyone up. They get out there. Eileen is a little angry. She's like, what the heck was that? But they then do their competition and they do fantastic. They do a great job. It's perfect. It's picture perfect. No one makes a mistake. It is choreographed well. It is the execution that Eileen wants. And so afterwards, when they all get off of the stage, they're all excited. They're jumping around. They're exuberant. They're happy. And the fun thing here is Eileen is too. I think now she sees that their competition's over. She can let her guard down and she is jumping up and down with the kids. She's, telling people they did a good job. She's telling people specifically, like she's very proud of them. Riley strangely doesn't celebrate this. I mean, she gets, a praise from Eileen. And then she leaves the group and goes to hang out with Amanda. She goes to see Amanda, who's in the crowd. And she hangs out with Amanda. It seems like they're back to their old ways. They're singing in the car. They're having fun. Riley now is working at the theater, probably just to spend some more time with Amanda, maybe help her out a little bit. And they're playing games. They're having fun. They're being kids again. It seems like Riley has maybe found that balance now. Before she was like super extreme, and now maybe she's found that balance. And she also shows she's still a Thunderhawk. So she shows up to practice. And I liked this because she shows up to practice. Eileen and Devin are talking. Eileen looks over, sees her, smiles, and like points to the floor, like get on the floor. So it seems like even though Riley did the thing that Eileen you're not supposed to do, it feels like, Eileen still likes her, still kind of like sees something in her. And Riley seems to have found the balance that she needs in life. She is still cheerleading, but she is also like making good relations with her friends. So that is Backspot. Like I said, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It had some things that felt a little bit manufactured, but overall, I think you should check it out eventually. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know what I got right and wrong. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.